Hello everyone, let's go over how to create our own assessments here on HMH. So when you log in, you're going to go into your Discover, and from there you want to make sure you click on My Stuff. Right now we're in HMH Resources, we want to be in My Stuff. So now we see 4 different options over here on our left. We see My Lessons, Assessments, Items, and Shared with Me. So first things first, let's go over how do we create our own assessment question. So let's say you want to create a question that specifically talks about a skill that all of the kids seem to be struggling on, but you don't need a higher level thinking question for it. You just want them to practice the skill, and that's it. And you want to have a couple on there on the test. So let's say you're having the students practice verb tenses. So when we're in My Items, we're going to click on Create, and then we're going to choose a discipline. So this one's going to be Reading and Language Arts. And let's say you want it to be a close with drag and drop. So first things first is when we compose the question, we need to put what are the students doing. So I'm going to type drag the correct verb tense to the blank to finish the sentence. And then right here we have our template markup. So we're just going to exit those out. And then let's say that we have our sentence is Mary blank a little lamb. But you need that space right there for your drag and drop. So we're going to come up here over on this little control bar. And you're going to see this little tiny square with an R inside of it. That's going to be our insert response. And that's where we can add that in. So now we can put our responses down here. We see our possible responses that we're giving the students. And then down here we see set the correct answer. So you need to put in the correct answer, otherwise it's not going to save it for you. So it's Mary had a little lamb. So we are going to put had. So we have our correct answer in there. We have our possible responses for the students, the template, so what the students will actually be answering, and then composing the question, which just means what are they actually doing? What are you actually asking them to do? And then we're going to click on save. So before we click on save, you can preview the question and see what it looks like. So now we click save, and it has been created. Yay! So now we've learned how to create an item. Now let's talk about how do we create our assessment. So let's go into My Assessments. So one note to keep in mind is once you create an assessment and you assign it, it is going to be in here forever. So make sure that you label it clearly. And if you're going to create an assessment, just so that way it's not too cluttered, like mine is a little bit, because I messed up on a couple of mine, make sure that it's one that you can use year after year. And this will actually make it a lot easier going forward, because maybe you create an assessment for Module 8 and you are going to use the same one each year. And maybe you're just going to change it up a little bit here and there. So we're going to click on Create. We are going to change the assessment title to be, we'll do Heroic Feats, because that's what the module title is. And then you need the subject association, so Reading and Language Arts, and then you can put a description here. So we're going to click on Create, and it takes us to the assessment. So now I see Add Items. I'm going to click here. It's going to take me to all of the items. The first thing I want to do is I want to select My Items. These are the items that you have created yourself. So right here we see drag the correct verb tense to the blank to finish the sentence. So I can click on Show Answer, and I see it's my Mary had a little lamb question. And I can click on Add. Now, before I click Save and Done, I'm going to go back to HMH Items right here where it says Select Items. And I'm going to come down to Program. I want to make sure I'm in the correct book. So for this one, we're doing 4th grade reading as an example. So we're going to go into Reading grade 4. And we are talking about Heroic Feats module. And we see the module assessment, Heroic Feats. We click in there, and now we can take a look at which of these questions do we want them to answer. So let's say you don't really want them to worry about diagrams and you don't want to include this particular question on there, so you add the rest of them. So we have add this one, this one, and so on and so forth. And then the other thing you can do is you can also preview the question. When you click on show answer, you can see what the kids will see. You can see right here the prompt, the reading section, and then the actual assignment right here. And then let's say that there are a couple that you like the question, but you're not a big fan of how they exactly ask it. Or maybe you don't like how the underline on base is really thin. Maybe you want it to be bolded instead. So you can go in and you can save this one, and then you can go in and edit it. Now, the one thing you want to look for, though, is it editable? This one's editable. That means I can add it and change it up if I want. So now that I've added all the questions that I want on my assessment, let's go back into the module, and let's say you want to add something from within the module that's not on the assessment. So let's go over Prince Charming displaces his bride. So let's take a look at this one. We see that it's maybe one of the weekly assessments that you do with the kids, and they keep messing up the point of view. And you went over it with the kids, and you want to see, have they retained this knowledge? So you can add that one in there as another question to put in there. So now we can click Save and Done. And it takes me back to my test. First, what I want to do is check and see, is there any that I needed to change? Well, I know there was one I wanted to change because of that base, and I didn't like how it was underlined. So I see right here, read the sentence from paragraph 7, I am so big, and this one looks familiar. So I click on my 3 dots. Now I'm going to click on Edit. And so now I see, okay, I don't like how it's underlined super light. I don't want that. So I'm going to bold it as well. And then I'm going to come over here and bold it down here, just so that way the kids see it a little bit better. Maybe that's what you prefer. Maybe you don't like how they describe base. Maybe you don't want it to say the lowest part of something. Maybe you want it to say the bottom part of something. Whatever it may be, you can adjust it a little bit, but I wouldn't adjust it too much. Otherwise, you're going to mess with the standards of the item. And so now that we're done, we're going to click Save. And now that we've saved it, we see that it's grayed out. We click Cancel now. After you save, it'll gray out. Then it'll take us back over here. And so once you're done with this, maybe you want to assign it right now. Or maybe you're not quite ready to assign it. Or maybe you want to share this assessment and see what they would like to add to it. Or maybe they want to use it themselves. You can also preview the assessment and see what does it look like for your students. Now let's say that you're pre-making all of your assessments. You can just save it like this and then assign it as needed. And the way you do that is you go back into Discover and My Stuff. You're going to come to My Assessments. And we want to find our Heroic Feats assignment right here. We don't want to click on Delete because it just hasn't been assigned yet. We're going to click on the blue letters instead. From here, it's going to look exactly the same as when we were messing with it. And we're going to click on Assign. And then from there, you assign it like any other assignment. You can even change the name. You can put in the directions, your start date, the time, when they can see the answers, so on and so forth. And that is how we make our own assessments and items.